the Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the show. This episode is part of our new Empathy Expansion Kit series. I'm Stephen Sakach here once again with Tullio Siragusa.
Hey, everybody.
One of our main goals of our podcast is to help you build a more authentic business or work life. One of the ways to build that is through adding empathy and love into what you do. So we're going to break this up into a lot of bite-sized topics, some very short podcasts when you don't have time for the longer episodes. In our first episode, we cover cultivating empathy and building a daily practice for leaders. So some practical exercises and habits that you can adopt to be a more compassionate leader and build a more compassionate workplace. All right, Tullio, let's dive in here. For me, I've got a few things that I work on. I mean, obviously, I think one of the foundational things for any leader is to read widely, read diversely, read a lot, get a lot of perspectives, read stuff. If you don't want to read a full book, I do a lot of book summaries. So read stuff you would never maybe even grab for a book and spend, days or a week doing. Spend 20 minutes. Even that, I think, will give you just this very diverse perspective on stuff. I'm sure you're a big reader yourself.
I've actually been using the audio cliff notes or book summaries for a long time. It's a great way to consume massive amounts of information very quickly, and usually when I'm driving or I'm just sitting still, it's an opportunity to get through a lot of information. Those that really resonate with me, and then I'll pick up and go deeper and read them. Yeah, it's almost like watching a preview for a movie and then picking the one you want to go see, but it's a lot deeper than just a preview.
Yeah, it's a lot deeper. I mean, for me, it's like maybe 20 minutes-ish, sort of a session. So it's not just like the 3-minute trailer. It's like a full point by point. And then you may listen to 30 or 40 of those, and you'll find one that like, oh, I want to really let this absorb this. So yeah, I think that's just a big practice for any leader for sure.
Yeah, it's like the TEDx talk of a book, really. That's what it is. You're going to get a lot of value in a short period of time.
Yeah, exactly. So this next idea, Tullio, something that we've talked about, sort of the appreciation audit or a reflective audit kind of thing at the end of the day. Talk about kind of what you do for that.
Yeah, so I do this sort of retrospective at the end of each day, and it's an audit, if you will, but it's more than just an audit. It's actually an opportunity to go back in time and consciously change the outcome of a situation that I was responsible for. So just to give you an example, I look at where did I miss an opportunity to be empathetic throughout the day, whether it was someone I work with, could have been on the highway, could have been my children. There's a number of areas we interact with individuals that at one given time or another, we all know it. We've been snippy or short or downright just not very pleasant. So not that we want it to be that way, but sometimes it just happens. You're overwhelmed. You got a lot going on and you just snap. So I do an audit of that every end of the day. And I look at and identified, okay, who could I have been more empathetic to that I wasn't? And then I not only identify where it happened, I put myself in that person's shoes. I start to imagine what it was like to be on the receiving end of that, what feeling that might have conjured up, both emotionally and physically, because sometimes, people have a visceral physical reaction to negative emotions as well. And even if it created a bad taste, so to speak, in their mouth, right? So I go through that experience of putting myself in their own shoes, being the recipient of that, and what that experience might have been like for them, because I want to go through it myself. And then I play it the other way. I envision how I could have responded and the experience that the other individual would have had, and see if they would have had a positive experience and one that was more nurturing. So going through this, and sometimes those retrospectives take longer than others, depending on what happened that day. but they're so valuable because what I'm trying to do is you can't go back and fix what you did, right? But I can consciously go back and fix what I did so that moving forward, I step into a different consciousness the next time. I have a program that I've created that says, this is how this is going to make that person feel, but this is the alternative way that they could feel, which is a positive way if I practice empathy, even when it's difficult to do it. So I've been doing that for years now, and it's something I'm really committed to, and it helps me to continue to grow. We're not perfect. I don't get it right every day, but every day I try to do it more and more so that I can catch those moments and fix them proactively.
Yeah, that doing it more and more, that's just getting reps in with a muscle kind of in your head in a way, right? It's like a sort of workout at the end of the day. Some of the other practices for me, I do are like beginning of the day practice. So it'll be, mindfulness meditation. I'll wake up. That's the first thing I do is some sort of meditation. The next thing I'll do is set some sort of intention for that day. So it could be an empathy related intention. It could be something, we've talked about this before. What are your values? How do you want to bring those to work and to whatever you're doing for that day? Trying to bring those out. So it's setting this sort of intention. So I've got some of those like beginning of the day exercises that are just these daily exercises. And you've got that nice review exercise at the end of the day. These are all good sort of daily practices. How about during the middle of the day, during that work week? I know one of the things with our work is we'll do like walking with like a teammate or something. You take a break and you go on a walk. We work in this really nice environment. So the walks, oceanfront and all that. So definitely pushes us to get out there. But just going through that exercise as well, you get this one-on-one time. Sometimes I'll just do a meeting with someone. Hey, let's go do a walk, and we'll go do, a 30-minute meeting while we're walking and talking about whatever. So that's like one of those sort of during the day practices. There's a lot of stuff you can do with setting up feedback, certain meetings, that type of thing, where you can have that weekly review, that kind of stuff, just to get that other perspective. I think that's important, but it's also important to is kind of do an audit and just whose perspective am I not hearing as much of, and seeking that perspective a little bit more, because some people might not be as aggressively telling you what they want to hear, and you need to go out and seek some of those perspectives.
The other thing throughout the day that I look for is how people respond. It can be very telling about what you're doing, how they respond. If someone's somewhat standoffish, or they're responding in a very sort of cold way, now it's easy to think something's going on with them, but it could also be that they have some resentment that they're holding on to. Maybe you said something, you didn't even realize you said something that upset them. And so I keep an eye out for those kinds of things. And then I'll find an opportunity to just check in and say, could be, let's go for a walk and connect, or it could be as simple as just calling and saying, hey, have I done anything that upset you? I noticed this kind of interaction, and I want to make sure that if you need to clear the air with me, I want to give you the opportunity to do so, because I value our intimacy, and I value our openness, and I value our friendship. So it's an opportunity for me to remind them that I do value them, that I want the friendship, that I want the intimacy. And I know that there's something in the way of that, and I'm here to hear it so that they can clear it. And the other thing that I've gotten practice is when they do say it, if it's something that may not be 100% true to you, don't make any comments about it. Just receive it, let them unload it, because really it's not even about being right or wrong as it is about building empathy. And that's the whole thing about, building intimacy. And that's the whole thing about being empathetic. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about connection. It's about enhancing connection. So my goal is to enhance the connection, not prove that I was right or something of that nature. I'd rather say I'm sorry and build a connection and the trust, continue to do that, than to, argue about, that didn't happen. This is actually what happened. Let me explain to you what happened. Like, that doesn't gain any value, really, unless there's an opening for that. But for the most part, I'm more interested in continuing to maintain that intimacy and connection.
Yeah, I noticed when you're talking about that, there's a lot of empathetic phrasing you're using in some of these questions and things you're asked. So that's another area where you can look at, what kind of things can I say? How can I support you? What do you need right now? There's certain empathetic phrasings you can work on throughout your day, no matter whether you're a leader or, whatever position you have. So that's it for today's episode of our Empathy Expansion Kit. We'll see you on the next Bliss Business podcast.